Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Escape. In the last part, we caught the very last out of the 204 monkeys in the game. And then, in between parts, I did all the time trials. This is what my endgame times are looking like. Again, I listed all the gold par times you need to hit last time. And you do need to get gold medals on every stage that has a time trial in order to hit the true 100% rating at the end of the game. Now, at this point, all that remains for us to do is go to the true final boss just to the right of Monkey Madness. With that said, if I did just that, this part would be about 10 minutes long. So, just to make this more in tune with the rest of the series, we're gonna go do one thing before we head over to Peak Point Matrix. We have those mini-games we've unlocked throughout the game by getting the Spectre coins, so we're gonna show that off after we see how much my in-game percentage is at the moment. Now, none of these mini-games are super in-depth. They are going to, by and large, be tech demos for the analog sticks and DualShock, just like the game itself is. And honestly, only the last one, the one that you get for, I forget if it's 70% of the medals or something like that, is really worth playing, because the first two are janky. In different ways, too. Also, I don't think I've ever shown off the status screen. That's how you know how many Spectre coins are in the game. But yeah, the last 1.5% is just the final boss. So the first minigame you unlock, and you get this very early on, is Ski Kids with a Z, because 90s radical, dude, is Ski Kids Racing. This one eerily is reminiscent to me frame rate wise and how it looks to the snowboarding minigame from FF7, only everyone's a bunch of just 2D sprites. The way that this works is that it's a racing game, and there's a couple options you can do, a couple difficulties, even I think 2-player, and you get to choose your character as well as courses. You can play as a lot of characters from the game, surprisingly. I'm just going to play as Spike because protagonist. There's a surprising amount of courses here, in that there's more than one, which would surprise me. The way that this works is that each analog stick represents one of your jet skis. You need to control them while also trying your best to keep the skis parallel to keep your speed as high as you can. At the end of the race, I believe your shortest lap times are compiled to represent your final race time. There is a level of mastery to this that I can appreciate. Like when you start seeing the little, I'm not even sure what the word is for it, the little splash effect come up, that's when you know you're doing right, because you're keeping to the inside and also keeping your analog sticks parallel enough that you're keeping up some good speed. But I just find this very hard to control because the PS1 analog control usually was alright when it happened, but it was just janky enough for the original DualShocks and not as precise as like the PS2 or PS3 or 4s even, arguably in the PS3 cases at least, because the DualShock 3 sucks, that it doesn't feel too good nowadays. Like, it controls sharply, but the momentum and everything else just doesn't feel quite right. Thankfully, you don't get anything for beating any of the minigames. They're just there for you to experiment and have fun with. There is, I think, a higher difficulty run of all three of the racetracks in this one. If you get, I think, first in all three in a row. But if I've done that, I've done it once. Because I do not care about these minigames. Since they are mostly a distraction, I'm glad there's nothing super tied to completion in here, though. Because some games could have easily pulled a Yakuza even back when and had getting 100% requires something from the minigames in some regards. Ski Kids Racing isn't super interesting. Good music, though. I love the music track for that one. With that, though, we are now moving on to my least favorite of the three minigames. Mostly because I find it not only the weirdest to control, but I just don't understand how they want you to make it work in any substantial means. Thank you, Professor. I can figure out this is the minigame corner. This is Spectre Boxing. And you might think of a boxing game and think it's going to be something like maybe a Punch-Out with the monkeys, with really terrifying renders. No. Well, maybe I guess a little bit. So this could be a championship or one-off stuff with various monkeys that you can control that have, frankly, very little differences as far as I'm aware. Each analog stick now represents a fist, and you just need to wall up on your opponent, blocking attacks and then attacking yourself as you go. But the momentum with the fists just doesn't feel right to be able to do any kind of real damage. It just looks like you're playing some happy slaps. Like, maybe a part of what I'm going to do is you need to pull the analog stick back a little bit, then shoot forward to give your fists some power. But as you can see, just based off how much Slick here is completely destroying me. I never understood this minigame. It doesn't feel good to control to me. You can do some amount of dodging a little bit, but it's really not necessary. Again, though, catchy music. The minigame aspect of this game would return in the sequels. But I think they did it a lot better in those games from memory. Not to mention, Ape Escape 3 has easily one of the best minigames in gaming history due to its crossover with a certain other PS2 game. So we'll get to that when I eventually get to AE3. I feel like this cameras could have cut by now, game. Alright, thank you. You do at least get the whole round mechanic, so it is relatively accurate boxing rules in terms of that regard, if you're super into that. I genuinely think I maybe see someone only get to like round 2 or 3 of this because it's either too hard to control or it's just not very interesting. In fact, now I'm curious if there's even a full run of this minigame on YouTube. There probably is because this game was popular enough to get several sequels. Spectre Boxing. There's a speed run. It's the first result by the Kobe, I think is how you pronounce that channel name. Ape Escape 1 Spectre Boxing percent 1025. 10 minutes for the minigame. God damn. Not a fan of this one. Doesn't feel like it controls too well. With that said, we are now moving on to my favorite of the 3 minigames, if only because it's a mechanic we know works well with 2 sticks, and it's engaging enough while not being super mechanically deep. But I'm forgetting what the name of this particular minigame is. I swear to God, Professor, if you talk to me again. Alright, good. Galaxy Monkey. That's what it's called. So this is a twin-stick shooter. Just straight up. It is the classic genre type of space shooters that we've been seeing since Asteroids on the Atari. Left stick controls the movement of your UFO, right stick controls which direction you're aiming in. It is a little bit... No, it is full 360 control. You got power-ups to increase the amount and size of your projectiles. You have several enemy types that behave in slightly different ways, and very short levels. The sides of the screen will glow red to indicate where enemies are coming from, so you're not automatically blindsided. And you have a high score to beat. And as you can see, you can do this with multiple players. This is easily the most fun any of these minigames are, which is sad because it probably has the simplest concept. Like, the others are technically impressive for their reading of the analog stick, but this is just the most fun out of all of them to play. Probably my least favorite musical track out of all of them, though. And now, if memory serves, I am in this minigame until I get a game over. I don't quit this one out early. So, in a few moments, I believe, I start speeding up the rest of this run, just so we're not stuck watching me play Galaxy Monkey for, like, what was it, 20 minutes, I think? 15 minutes, 10 minutes, somewhere in that range. I don't really remember or care. After a certain point, the enemy varieties do start to run out, but they also start to get really dickish with how they start placing enemies in the stage. They want to lead you into other enemies. It's very... well, to be frank, it's very space shooter. Because Gradius does that, Ikaruga does that a lot. A lot of others have played do that exact thing. If you die, you have to get power-ups all over again, but it's thankfully short enough that you don't need to worry too much about it. I was so close to the high score. Oh no, clearly I should play the entire thing over again just to hit that. Oh no. But yeah, those are the minigames. It is worth getting the Spectre coins for the 100% marker, and at least for Galaxy Monkey on its own, it is fun. But the other two, they've never really grabbed me too much, so oh well. Ape Escape 2 and 3 do better with their minigames from memory. So with that, I'm going to take a moment to save my game, apparently, even though I already did. I guess I wanted to save my high score. And now it's time for us to go access the true final boss in the Peak Point Matrix. If you've gotten this far, you have no preparations to make other than saving, just head on in and let's go take Spectre down once and for all, until the sequels at least.
Let's go!
So you finally come. You just won't give up, will you?
Of course I'm here. Someone's got to teach you that you can't conquer the world. Give it up.
You are so irritating. I just don't understand you.
What? What do you mean?
You have all that power and energy. Why not use your powers for something better?
I'd never do anything harmful or destructive. You'll never get me to turn against my friends.
Ugh, you're so naive.
I'm still better than you are.
Yeah, give it a rest. You're still only human. But one more thing.
What now?
How was the man that raised me?
What? You mean the trainer at the amusement park?
Yeah.
Why do you ask? Were you thinking about going back? I think that's a great idea. Everyone will be so happy. I'm sure if you apologize, they'd welcome you back to the amusement park. Let's go.
What? Apologize? That's ridiculous. Why should I apologize? After the way they treated me? I told you I'm never going back. Why should I? I have come across such incredible powers and intelligence that I'm better than they are. I can do anything.
That's not true power. You're being controlled by the Peak Point helmet. If you knew what was good for you, you'd throw that thing away. Now do it and let's go.
Quiet! I'll prove to you just how great my powers are!
Go ahead, but if I beat you, you get rid of the helmet.
Oh, you won't beat me!
Don't be so sure, Spectre. Here I come.
Alright, for Spectre, what you're going to want to have equipped is actually what I have equipped right now. You're going to want the magic shot, the magic punch rather, the slingshot, and the propeller. Spectre, at the start of the fight, is going to teleport all over the place, firing giant projectiles at the floor that cause massive shockwaves. You want to use the propeller to get over because it lasts long enough and gets smaller as the shockwave goes on. One, he's just standing there, shoot a slingshot bullet at him of any type to do some damage. This is the only boss fight where slingshot is useful, but hey, at least it's useful somewhere. You're not going to want the stun club at this. In fact, you barely need the net until the very end of it. And until we destroy this chair he's on, he's not going to be doing too much different. There are a couple of different projectile attacks I believe he can do. And if you're quick on the draw, you can do damage to him before and I think after he fires his projectile. But doing that's a little tricky. Because once he starts certain attack animations, he is completely invincible. Alright, and now we're rid of his chair, so now he's just going to run around in circles around the arena with a shield around him. You need to use the magic punch on the shield to damage it, and then you need to punch him once more once he's stunned to do damage to the boss himself. What he's going to be doing during this phase is running around and spawning several projectiles, which he'll charge up and then fire them all in a barrage like that. So whenever he's about to fire off, you might want to run around first just to make sure he's rid of them before you actually attack, because he can still attack you while he's vulnerable. So you want to make sure you time that properly so you don't take some excess damage. Mind you, if you enter this fight with full health, you shouldn't die in my eyes, because he drops health at regular intervals by destroying his projectiles that, well, you dodge them. The first phase is probably harder than the second phase, if only because he's invincible more often than not. It's a very easy fight, but hey, I find it fun. At a certain point, when you damage him enough, once you take care of his shield, he is vulnerable to be caught, and once you catch him, they jump cut right to credits. It's honestly kind of a shocking transition. Now get in my nets! Gotcha. And that's Ape Escape. I love this game. Obviously, I brought up, I have some weird problems with it. I don't like how they force you to revisit every stage. There's some stages you can't do in one trip. The time trials being required is a little iffy. I don't like when games do that, period. I didn't like when Crash did that. I don't like it when this does it. But I find it better here than in Crash, because these don't require you to play through the entire stage, at least. I think this is a really interesting use of early DualShock stuff, and I think the series continued to, even with some minor issues in future games, improve upon itself in a way that kept the formula interesting. Not to mention, I love the music here, I love the tone of it, I love how it's basically not serious at all, and is almost self-aware at how ridiculous the situations are. I love this series' character in terms of, like, its personality. It's fantastic. With that said, if you want to play it, there's the PlayStation version and the PlayStation Portable remake. Don't play the PSP remake. On the Loose is alright, but it's a lot more limited despite it having better graphics and voice acting. Plus, I don't remember how well the soundtrack was handled in it. This is one of the earliest games I can remember playing that made me want to get 100% in it. This is why I'm a completionist in a lot of games nowadays, at least in terms of, like, getting 100% in some rating or another, like every side quest or... well, actually, usually it's just every side quest and maybe every main item. These games gave me brain spiders in terms of getting that pretty 100% marking on a save file. It's kind of scary, honestly. I do wish there was some more to the game in terms of pure levels, because there's not many aesthetics going on here. I know there is some nice visuals, but knowing how the sequels are, they completely fixed that issue as of the second game on, so it all works out. This game is just a complete joy from beginning to end. It's also very short. Like, if you're just going for the first final boss, you're done in, like, 4 or 5 hours at most. That 1 hour being, in particular, just the Monkey Madness or so, but still. It's paced fantastically outside of its final level. It's just a complete joy. I cannot gush about this game enough. Controls super well, sounds super well. It's a good game, I think it is. Although, actually, I don't think I mentioned the entire LP. The game has a completely different dub in Britain. I think I foreshadowed this slightly when I was talking about Jake's name being Buzz in Britain, but yeah, if you want to hear something, if you're used to the game and want to hear something different, go listen to that. It's a trip. Some voice actors are better, others are worse. It's kind of a mess in that regard. But with that, we have a post-credit scene that's about to play, and after that, we get to save our game to show ourselves a true 100% rating on our save file. So let's go and see how everyone's doing now that we've caught Spectre, shall we?
Oh no! Look at the time!
We better hurry, or it'll be too late.
Hey, wait up!
Wait for me, you two! I said wait!
Oh god, music jump scared me. The title theme was supposed to play there, but I guess I pressed the X button and let the cutscene end exactly as it ended, so the music didn't really get a chance to start. Oh well. I find Monkey Spectre absolutely adorable. I think Spectre is a really cute character design no matter what, but something about his not evil model here in the first game is just a complete joy of cute. But with that, I'm gonna need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, have a great night, take care, and I'll see you guys next Let's Play, whatever that may be. See you guys then.